homeless crisis in America is worsening again. The COVID pandemic caused a surge in housing costs and a rise in unemployment, leaving nearly 600,000 Americans unhoused in 2020. Cities across America are spending more than ever to combat the crisis. Overall, homelessness in America has only improved 10% compared to 2007. It's even worse for certain subgroups such as individual homelessness, which dropped only 1% in the same period. On the contrary, 2020 saw a 30% increase in the unsheltered homeless, erasing over half a decade of work since its dramatic rise in 2015.
Right now, we're trending in the wrong direction. So the state of homelessness right now is pretty tenuous, and there are some small increases that are taking place across the board.
So, how is the U.S. addressing the homeless crisis, and can it ever be solved? Homelessness is known to prey on some of the most vulnerable populations in America. In 2020, 20% of those who were unhoused suffered from severe mental disorders, while 16% suffered from chronic substance abuse. In response, the U.S. has long relied on a housing-ready approach to homelessness, where those who are unhoused had to meet specific requirements such as sobriety or completion of treatment in order to qualify for a home. That was until this man, Dr. Sam Sambaris, pioneered the Housing First initiative.
At some point, myself and the people we were working with realized that really insisting that people change, get sober, take medication, get your life together in order to earn or be awarded housing was not working. You just, people were on the street. They couldn't stay sober. They were not interested in medication. They were interested in being somewhere safe and secure.
The Housing First initiative follows two tenets. First, the most effective solution to homelessness is permanent housing. And second, all housing for the homeless should be provided immediately, without any preconditions.
Rather than having it us pushing or coercing people to get to treatment, people get housing and then they want treatment.
The Housing First policy has successfully housed individuals that need it the most. Shannon McGee is one of them. A nonprofit organization, Pathways to Housing, helped Shannon move into his supportive housing in 2020 after staying unhoused for 4 years.
It was started in 2008, losing my mom to lung cancer, and then not having a strong support system to support me throughout the process. I ended up losing the family house. They sold the family house and didn't have anywhere to go. And that started the stint of being homeless. From being housed to now being unhoused, the shelter for me was very hard it was a cultural shock. It was very hard to adjust to the environment, the living standards. I finally got connected to the Veteran Affairs, and a social worker with them connected me to Pathways. And since being connected to Pathways, everything has turned around 360 degrees.
A study in 2004 discovered that when individuals were provided with stable, affordable housing with services under their control, 79% remained stably housed at the end of 6 months. Another study in 2000 found it to be more effective than traditional programs. 88% of the participants in Housing First programs remain housed, compared to just 47% in the city's residential treatment program. And it's not just in the United States. A similar study conducted in Canada revealed similar results, showing participants of Housing First programs obtaining and retaining housing at a much higher rate.
The evidence has shown that by getting people housed immediately and eliminating the chaos of homelessness created a space where people would be more successful.
Housing First not only supports those in need with housing, but the assistance they need to get back on their feet again.
It's housing first, not housing only. Like, there's a team of people, really, whether they're social workers and nurses and psychiatrists, people with lived experience. It's like a support services team. And then the team says to you, how can I help you?
If I need assistance in getting things such as my ID or birth certificate, they help with that. They support me through that process. If I need to make appointments at the VA hospital, they support me through that process. Any and everything that I pretty much need done, I have support through Pathways to Housing.
Supporters of Housing First also argue that it's cost efficient. A comprehensive study in 2015 concluded that shelter and emergency department costs decreased with Housing First policies. But perhaps the biggest advantage to Housing First is the improvement in the quality of life it provides.
Able to have my housing first, I know that I'm in control of my environment.
This particular policy is going to end homelessness. Homelessness numbers will significantly drop as a result of the implementation of this policy.
Housing First hit its first bump under the Trump administration that sought to replace it with programs focused more on treatment and sobriety.
They were talking about housing fourth as a policy, housing fourth, okay? And that was very deliberate because it's housing first. And they were like, no, housing fourth, treatment, sobriety, employment, and housing maybe. It was a very, very targeted attack.
Housing should be a right and not a privilege. Every American deserves a safe and stable place to call home.
More resources and support from the government are needed to truly end the crisis once and for all.
Well, if you don't have the resources in the program to deliver a place to live, then your listening and your promise to them is hollow. You need to have the listening, let's call that the policy, which is, housing first, person first. But then you need the resources behind the policy, apartments, subsidy, support services, in order to actually make the package viable. We're nowhere near where we need to be in investment, either of building public housing or affordable housing, having the capacity to address the homeless problem. We're nowhere near.
What's important is that homelessness is a crisis that can be solved as long as there is enough attention, care, and resources to support the cause.
It's just very disgraceful that in a country that's so blessed, so wealthy, that has done some things right in the past, if not everything, that we can't do something to fix this problem.
We know how to do it. We have the cure. We have good examples of how it's done. We need to take it to scale.